Am I the a-hole for telling my surrogate to stop acting like she was my husband's wife? My husband and I have been together for 5 years. We wanted kids, but because of my health problems, this wasn't possible. So we decided to go with surrogacy, and my friend nominated her sister, Brittany, 29. I agreed right away because I know Brittany and the family. We've set everything up, discussed payment, short and long-term plans, counseling, and doctor appointments. Then we explored IVF and chose a private clinic to get it done. It started after Brittany took a pregnancy test. She only told my husband, though she had both our numbers. She only sent my husband a picture of the test while he was at work and sent me nothing when I gave her my personal contact information, but it was okay. Things got complicated when Brittany started having access to our credit cards for her own wants and claimed they were the baby's needs. She excluded me from doctor visits and scans and had only my husband go with her. Her excuse was that my husband drives and has time, since I work and unavailable most of the time. I felt isolated from this experience, but said nothing knowing she's bearing a lot of burden, so I had patience. My husband had no idea what was going on and if this was normal, as this was new to us, so we didn't know. She's 7 months in, and last week she had us visit to discuss things that I thought we'd previously agreed on, but she said she changed her mind about. And her mom was there too. I heard Brittany out and was shocked when she gave a list of how things should be from now on, since she said there was a lot of confusion in the past because of me stressing her out by complaining. She requested she get saying things like baby name after I deleted the list of names she sent to my husband. She wanted more access to my husband's credit card / free time to get stuff done at her place. Also, more time with the baby than agreed on. Then I wrapped up by saying only my husband should be with her in the delivery room and use the hospital as excuse. I got up and firmly stated I don't agree on her new terms, and that she had to stop acting like she was my husband's wife and this was their baby. My husband didn't speak till she started crying. He asked me to sit down, but I said I had boundaries, reminded her what her role was and how she overstepped. Her mom went off and said her daughter was being mistreated when she put herself mentally and physically through the most selfless act for us, to make us a family. She gave up a part of her life in those months to give us what we want, and I was acting selfish and ungrateful. She had us leave, then told my friend, and it got more complicated. I was told to apologize for what I said. Am I the a-hole? Edit. Yes, we agreed on paying for the surrogacy like I stated above. So no favors or anything. No, we did not have a legal contract because my friend said there was no need for us to do that, and basically talked us out since we are considered family, but we had an agreement including paying her. Question about whether Brittany had kids of her own. She was a single mom of a 4-year-old who passed away from an accident. She had him at a young age, but she always seemed in good mental and physical health. Now for the top comments. This may be above Reddit's pay grade. Okay, so there's no legal contract. Is there at least a written contract? A voice recording of the agreement? Text? Emails? Anything at all? Lawyer up immediately, Opie. I feel for you. Edit. A lot of people have said, and I agree that something really fishy is going on here. Has Opie answered whose egg this is? How the insemination was done? Why her husband is so okay with Opie being cut out? This could be anything from Brittany seeing an opportunity for a free baby and child support, to Opie's husband and Brittany being on some kind of gross, twisted scheme. There is so little information here that I have just so many questions. I can only sum up this post with oof. I would like to add another oof. Let's add a third oof. Surrogate is a mother to a baby who sadly passed away. So no live babies at the moment. Who in their right mind thought a mother who lost her only baby was a good candidate for surrogacy? Surrogates go through extensive psychological evaluation, and I have serious doubts she would pass. Opie and husband majorly dropped the ball here. Sounds like they let this friend steamroll them into selecting her sister without any pushback at all. No one with Opie's best interest at heart would have pressured her into forgoing a lawyer. Fred is looking out for her sister, and only her sister. And I kinda suspect they're deliberately scamming this couple. Oh, absolutely. It looks to me that this friend saw how her sister was depressed after losing her baby, and there was probably no father in the picture to try again, or money to go through IVF on her own, so they saw this as their chance to have a baby. This is why surrogacy is so heavily regulated. Was there a contract? If not, yikes. Get a lawyer ASAP. Surrogates have no business being involved in naming the baby or dictating time spent with the child. Red flags abound. You're not the a-hole, but you may have put yourself in a situation where an unstable person could now have leverage to essentially be a third parent to your child. Or a single parent. She doesn't want you at the delivery, so she can just claim the baby for herself. Edited to add, after seeing your edits about the surrogate having lost a 4-year-old, she is 100% planning to keep the baby. Whether she also tries to take your husband and just claim child support is up in the air. Next story. Am I the a-hole for telling my daughter to leave my husband alone? I have 3 children, 10 female, 22 male, and 24 female. The older 2 are from my first marriage. Their father died when they were 5 and 7, and I married their stepfather 4 years later. From the very beginning, my daughter had a difficult time adjusting. She never saw my husband as a father figure, and like my son, it took to him very quickly. We tried everything, including therapy, but it didn't do much. She was rude with him all the way through her teenage years, refused to be parented by him, cussed him out, told him he wasn't her father and that she wanted nothing to do with him, etc. My husband, if I might say so, was incredibly patient. He never pushed too hard, respected her boundaries, and always listened to me when I told him to back off. But he did catch a lot of verbal mistreatment, and I sometimes feel guilty not being stricter with her. She moved out at 18 for college, and we paid for her education. Things have become civil since then, but still cold. Now recently, my daughter has been trying to fix things with her stepfather. She wants to join him and her brother for their monthly fishing trips, but my husband is reluctant. He's not interested in fixing things. He believes his duty is done now that she's an adult, and that he's going to live his life in peace now. My son doesn't care either way. This breaks my heart as I want us to be a proper family. My daughter has been repeatedly asking me to intercede on her behalf, and I have, but it seems like it's only making things more tense. So I told her that maybe it is best to leave him alone. Maybe time will make things better. Or maybe it won't, and that she will have to accept that possibility as well. She says I'm a major a-hole for being so fatalistic. Am I the a-hole? No a-holes here. Sometimes timing sucks and just can't be helped. You are ready to move on with a new husband. That's okay. Your daughter wasn't ready for a new father or a stepfather. That's okay. Your husband did his best. That's good. Your daughter is grown up and is ready to be more mature about things. That's good. Your husband has been hurt in the past and is reluctant to take more emotional risks. That's okay. While time doesn't heal all wounds, time may help here. One can't see the future, but one can have hope. I completely agree. My only suggestion to OP would be rather than her daughter interjecting on an already established bonding activity between son and stepfather, that they try something independent from these trips. Start small, like a movie or craft beer/wine, or museums. Anything that they can both discuss and bond over. A fishing trip is too long, and too much after so little involvement. Any relationship that they develop will need to be on their own terms, and centered on things they have in common. Short activities with lots of neutral things to discuss, example, a museum where you can talk about what you are seeing, are probably the easiest first steps. But not right away. He didn't force her to accept him back then. She can't force him now. This will take time and effort. It's not as easy or simple as her suddenly joining the fishing trips and pretending everything's cool. Not a hall for supporting your husband's boundaries and emotional health. Sure, except one was a child, processing serious grief. That's true. Still doesn't mean they can flip a switch and suddenly have a great relationship now. Now for the next story. Am I the a-hole for wanting to kick my son out? My husband and I have 6 kids. Elizabeth 20, Thomas 18, Addie 10, Olivia 8, Michael 7, and Grayson 3. My husband and I made a rule for our kids that once they turn 18/graduate high school, they have 3 options. 1, go to college and live rent-free. 2, get a job and pay rent. 3, move out. With either option, if you live at home, you'll be expected to do chores, which does occasionally include babysitting or driving the younger kids somewhere. We give them until the start of the next school year to figure it out. Elizabeth has never had a problem with this. She's about to start her 4th year of college, and when she's not in school, she babysits twice a week to help us out. She's great with her siblings and generally has a good attitude. Thomas is a completely different story though. He told us he wants to take a year off before college to relax and figure out what he wants to do. We said okay, and reminded him that if he still wants to live here, he needs to get a job and pay rent. We're not asking for anything crazy. A part-time job at Burger King is fine with us, as long as he's able to contribute. He got a part-time job at a deli making approximately $1,000 to $1,500 a month, and we charge him $300 a month. The problem is he's been refusing to do any chores since he pays rent. He's also rude to me by younger kids, especially Addie. Addie has anxiety, SPD and dyspraxia, and is very clumsy. If she drops or spills anything near him, he screams at her and curses her out. If I ask him to watch a couple of the kids so I can take one or two to an appointment, he yells at me for making him parent my kids and tells me I need to step up instead of relying on him and their nanny. Honestly, I'm getting tired of his attitude. And Addie's scared to eat or drink in the same room as him because she's scared of getting yelled at. I talked to my husband about kicking him out, and he agrees that Thomas needs to help out around the house and be nicer to me and the kids. But he thinks kicking him out is too harsh since we live in an area with a high cost of living, and he doesn't make enough to support himself. Am I the a-hole for wanting to kick him out? Now for the comments. Not the a-hole. My siblings and I grew up under these same rules. What my mom did to my brother was build him the costs he would actually be paying in the real world if he was living the same setup with roommates instead of family, including laundry and maid services, electricity, water, phone service, meal service, etc. She walked him through the bill and explained why each portion was owed, and then told him he could reduce his bill by instead of paying mom to do his laundry or cleaning or cooking, he could do it himself and save those costs. You get the idea. My brother decided the rent he was being charged and the chores he was asked to do was way better than paying the higher costs without the chores. That's a good idea. This kid needs a real wake-up call about how much things actually cost. The absolute horror that some posters have about, gasp, babysitting is laughable. How dare you ask him to babysit when he pays you $300 whole for rent? He wanted his path. He chose to work instead of going to school. He wanted to do that while remaining in his parents' house. He pays a measly $300 for a room, common areas, utilities, groceries, etc. He is refusing to help out around the house and is being horrible to his sister, who is a child. I think kicking out right away is overly harsh. I think Opie needs to have a very serious conversation with him to reiterate his options. Staying at home means helping out and being respectful / not horrible. He will never find somewhere to live for $300. So this is his final warning to straighten up. Opie has a child to protect. Addie's only 10 and deserves to feel safe. I have very little sympathy for an 18-year-old who is tormenting a special needs 10-year-old. Not the a-hole. Not the a-hole. If your husband agrees he needs to be nicer and help out, then what is your husband willing to do if your son continues to do neither? He wants to talk to him and hope he listens. Last story is titled, Am I the a-hole for telling my brother I'm not taking on extra hardship just because I love him? My brother and I are only 11 months apart in age. He's older, so we grew up incredibly close. And when he and his late wife had kids together that was already home with mine, he offered to help by taking them Thursdays and Fridays so they could save some money in childcare. This continued for years, and their kids are now 10, 8, and 7. My late sister-in-law died 2 years ago, and it was very rough on the kids. They were very close to their mom, and she adored them. My brother adored her too. They went to therapy for 6 months, and then 9 months after the death of his late wife, he met his current wife. It seems he felt ready to date again, and from there they moved fast. They were married October last year, and they moved in together. It was him and the 3 kids plus her and her 2 kids. I think he thought the kids would appreciate having a mom figure again, and having 2 more siblings. And he thought her kids would like having a bigger family because it was just them and their mom. But her kids have issues with each other, and they don't like my brother's kids, while my brother's kids are hurt and feel like their dad betrayed their mom, and like my brother's wife is trying to replace her. The household descended into chaos and the kids fight. It was so bad, the family therapist they started to see refused to see them all together, and 2 further ones said they would not be able to do therapy as a group for a while if they switched to them. The fighting has made it hard to keep a babysitter and made childcare much more difficult for them. His stepkids don't want to be alone with him, and his kids don't want to be alone with their stepmom. So he asked me to go back to the old arrangement of having the kids after school. I told him I didn't feel like it would work for me, that I love him and will try to help him find someone, but I can't. He told me the 3 kids miss me and their cousins. I said I hadn't made the decision lightly, But after my parents' experiences with taking care of all 5 kids together and seeing how they are with each other, I feel like I wouldn't be capable of coping. He tried to use our bond to get through to me and I told him no. Then he got mad and accused me of not loving him. I told him I was not taking on the extra hardship because I love him. That he knows that's what he's asking, and that I will be here for him in ways I can be. But I cannot take on more than I can realistically handle. He said calling the kids a hardship made me an a-hole, and so did rejecting the chance to spend time with all my nieces and nephews. Am I the a-hole? NTA, NTA, NTA. Your beloved brother has a self-created mess on his hands, and he's looking to you to restore some semblance of normalcy. Except that it isn't your job. Info. Did he ask the kids what they thought about him getting married again, or what they felt about her kids? He did. But he said he didn't want them to make the rules. And he told them if they had any actual issues with any of them to let him know. But otherwise, he was doing what he felt was right. And they had no specific issues, so that was it. A professional therapist can't handle all of them together. And you're supposed to be willing to take them all? Not at a-hole. If you feel so inclined, you could offer to take his 3 kids. But if you don't want to do that, you are still not at a-hole. That is not something I will offer because he already rejected it when my parents made a suggestion. Not at a-hole. 5 well-behaved kids would be a hardship. 5 kids fighting a blended family dynamic is beyond what should be asked of you. Why can't the kids go to an after-school program where they will have some distance from each other? I don't know why. The parents are probably hoping that if they force them together enough they will become friends. It won't work, and will cause more resentment and anger. Update. My 24 female friend, 24 female, wants me to believe that my fiancé, 28 male, violated her. Original story. I'm out of town for the weekend. Had to go babysit for my sister. My friend knows this and still decided to go to my apartment because she was too drunk to make it to her place. She knew I wouldn't be there. Heard my fiancé barely even talk. They never hang out unless I'm there. But supposedly, she still went without even telling me. My fiancé messaged me right away that she was there and that he didn't know what to do. I told him to let her stay in our guest bedroom. She went to bed and my fiancé and I FaceTimed until super late. A friend didn't tell me that she was there until this morning. She calls me saying that she went to stay at my place last night, but had to leave super early this morning after my fiancé violated her. She swears it happened. After talking to him, I feel like it's possible that it didn't happen. I don't want to dismiss my friend's feelings, but I've also known my fiancé for over 10 years and know he's a good guy. I've known this friend for a year and I don't think she's a bad person either. My friend said she won't press charges, but just wants me to know what he did. I don't know what to believe. Of course, this all happens 2 months from our wedding. How should I handle this? How do I know who's lying? Now for the top advice before reading the update. Isn't it super fishy the fact that she went to your place even though she knew you weren't there? Why would she go there if she doesn't even talk to your boyfriend? Was she out drinking by herself? It just doesn't make any sense to me. That part where she won't press any charges but she wants you to know sounds more like, I just want you to break up with him based solely on what I'm telling you. That's how I felt too. If the man I'm about to marry is like that, then please help me put him in jail. I still don't get why she went to our place either. Tell her to get a kit test done. Her response will help you gauge whether it's BS, because sounds like it is. Offer your support to go with her to the hospital to get a kit. Ask what she needs from your apartment to prove this happened, because obviously he should go to jail if he's really that person, right? I would take your fiancé's word on this, to be honest. Not a bad idea. I'm back in town this afternoon. Maybe I'll tell her I can take her to the hospital as soon as I'm back. I really want to take my fiancé's word on this too, but I don't want to just assume that she's lying either. Most likely scenario, your boyfriend was not interested in her advances and fabricated a story to get you to break up. Nothing happened, except her being drunkenly half-dressed in the hallway. The fact your friend knew you were not there but showed up without contacting you makes her suspicious, and she's the one that set up your boyfriend to be the bad guy. I really can't understand why she didn't let me know until this morning. She was with it enough to remember my address, but not to call me? That's so weird to me. And now for the update. Hey guys, here's the update. Finally. So long story short, my friend made it all up. Her plan was to go to her place once I'd come back in town. I tried to get her to go get a test kit done. Unfortunately, I was stuck at my sister's with her kids. So my fiancé decided to go to her place without telling me and got the truth out her. He recorded their conversation, thankfully. She admitted that she lied, and I also found out that she was the one trying to kiss him multiple times that night, before he finally told her to go to bed or he'd kick her out. He told her we have a camera in our hallway, and we'll be taking it to the cops to sue her if she doesn't tell me the truth. She messaged me after their conversation, and instead of just admitting what she did, she tried to blame me, saying that these past few months all I've been talking about is the wedding. It is like I don't have time for her anymore. That her lying about this was the only way for her to get my attention. I tried to call her after that, and she wouldn't answer my phone calls. I even went to her place after I got back in town, and she wouldn't open the door. So needless to say, she will not be a part of my wedding. I've never had a lot of friends, and now I'm wondering what's even the point if all they bring is trouble. Anyway, thank you so much for your ideas and advice. You guys are the best. She wasn't your friend. Friends don't do that to each other. Don't let this experience stop you from having friends in the future. Not everyone is off the rocker. It just sucks that you don't know how messed up people are until they show their real colors. I would have never thought she would have done something like this. I thought she was an amazing person. In the words of my estranged sister, that's what you get for thinking. Glad it all worked out for you. She sounds incredibly messed up. Thank God her lies didn't do the damage she obviously wanted them to. Yes, I'm so thankful he was able to snap her out of her lies. Now we have that recording, and the texts she sent me admitting she did lie, just in case she tries to lie about it again. Being accused of this sort of offense is the worst fear of many men. What a psycho. I know. I feel bad that I put him in this situation. I should have let him give her a ride home when he insisted on doing so. Facts. I had some female friends telling me to go to parties, and I absolutely refused for fear of being near people that are intoxicated, because I'm terrified that one day someone will try and ruin my life with an accusation like this. Next story. I, 29 male, can't seem to forgive my sister, 26 female, after she completely bailed on me when I was on the brink of being homeless. My sister from a young age has had only one person to rely on, and that person was me. We come from a broken family, with one parent that was only around till I was 5 and the other who was stuck in a cycle of addiction. Because of our situation, I grew up very quickly and shielded her from things as much as I could. She obviously was aware of what was going on, but she was not in the crosshairs. I started with stealing from our mother to make sure we had food and bills were paid. I got a part-time job at 13 because we couldn't rely on our mother, and when I graduated high school, I immediately got 2 jobs and we moved out. I had to push my sister through high school. She wasn't an easy teen for obvious reasons, on top of going month to month trying to get as much money together to pay our bills. Then at 19, she finally graduated after being held back a year. She changed her tune a lot and she started working as well and had her own place when she was 21. I finally got a shot to do something for myself and got a degree. As a result, I got a much better job, but unfortunately that was right before the pandemic hit, so I pretty much went from hired to fired as I was a new hire. Now, the reason I'm saying all that is not to pat myself on the back, but to stress why my reaction is the way it is. I was out of work, on the brink of losing my apartment. It only had one person who I expected I could turn to, my sister. She was recently married, still lives obviously, with her husband, so I asked if I could stay a few weeks, at most a few months until I got a new job. It was a no. I was taken aback, but it remained to be a no. A week or 2 later, I was kicked out of my apartment, so I asked again and it was a no. At this point, I'm homeless, and the only reason I didn't end up sleeping on the damn streets was because I could crash with a few friends until I got a temporary job. I rented a room with a bunch of roommates for a while, eventually got a job in my field again and am now doing fine. That said, I have not spoken to my sister since. She has called, messaged, banged on my door, sent crying voice messages, apologized dozens of times, tried to explain herself, tried going to my job, tried going to friends. Everything. I haven't said a word to her, and it's been over a year now. She recently had a child and she is still desperately trying to reach out. She claims her husband refused to let me stay. He even reached out several times to beg me to reach out. But to me, The one time I needed her, she basically tells me to F myself. And I feel like it was the last push I needed to just end that chapter of my life. I feel bad, but just not bad enough, I guess. Even my friends and my girlfriend are on my case that I should forgive her, and that they understood it at first but now think I'm being an a-hole. What would you guys do? Now for the top advice. Tell your friends and girlfriend that only you get to decide when you're ready to talk to your sister. That is not their place nor their business to try to force you into an interaction that you aren't emotionally ready for. And if they care about you at all, they will shut the hell up and let you do things when you are ready to do them. And send your sister one message telling her that you aren't closing the door on ever having a relationship with her, but you need her to back off and give you the time and space to work through your feelings of betrayal. That you will reach out to her when, and if, you are ready to, and not a minute before. And the more she pushes, the less you want to be around her. Then get into counseling to work through your feelings. Decide how much of a relationship with her you can handle emotionally, and then proceed from there. If your girlfriend and friends keep pushing, then they are only doing so for their own selfish purposes rather than out of concern for you, and you need to shut them down hard. This is a good advice. Some skeptical part of me is wondering why the sister wants Opie back in her life now that she has a baby. Babysitting? Defraying baby expenses? Wanting Opie to play the happy, generous uncle? If it was real guilt, she would have reached out earlier. And it seems like sister only reached out once Opie was back on his feet. Edited to add, it could be that all of Opie's sacrifices have led to her growing up to be very self-centered, because all along she's never had to think of someone else. Your friends and girlfriend need to back off when this isn't their situation. You decide what you want to do here. They have zero say in the matter. I completely get your anger. You, at your lowest point, needed help after spending your entire life helping her up. And she said, nah, that inconveniences me. I'd be upset too. The hardest part would be trusting her again, because she's already shown she isn't trustworthy. His friends and girlfriend have no idea what it's like to grow up hard like that. The betrayal is like a knife in the heart. Since the last question is, what would you do? It's easy. I would not reach out. I'm someone who will do pretty much anything for friends and family. But as soon as I'm done with someone, I'm done. There's no going back. Ever. Sure, sometimes I miss some people that were in my life, but never enough to get back on that decision. Last story. My husband wanted me to promise him to never date anyone if he passes. I, female 36, have been married to my husband Thomas, male 34, for 6 years. He has a chronic heart condition that made him suffer for years. We have 2 kids together and he adores them, but couldn't be with them all the time or do normal activities together due to his condition. I work to be able to pay for rent/expenses and medical bills, which are the hardest. It's been like this for years. Thomas's health is greatly declining, and we recently were able to get him a device to improve his heart function, but it's not a long-term solution. Lately, Thomas has been asking me or the kids to sleep in bed with him. Before that, he used to sleep alone for medical reasons, including using catheter and having medical devices in his hand and chest. He was at a hospital for 2 weeks and said he missed me and the kids, although I was with him often. Last night, he was talking to me about what the kids told him they wanted to become when they grow up. He took his time to talk because this was a highly emotional moment for him. He kept telling me he knew he wasn't going to witness how our kids will turn out and what they become when they grow up. He said he'd be lucky if he could attend their next birthday, which I admit could be an exaggeration on his part. But I let him vent about what's been bothering him and try not to interrupt him. He then started talking about us, asking me what I would do if he passed away. Those questions I couldn't find an easy answer for. But he proceeded to ask if I was going to start over with someone new. He pulled my face close to his and said he wanted me to promise him to never date anyone after him, no matter what. I don't know why, but I froze in my place. He kept looking at me, telling me to promise him in front of our kids. I'd be lying if I said I didn't feel hesitant. I had a very odd feeling, and something told me to not do it, especially not when he decided to get the kids involved. I pulled away and assured him he's the love of my life and everything I care about, as well as our children. He got upset, saying I was avoiding his request, and said he didn't expect me to even hesitate, let alone refuse to promise. I calmly explained how heavy his words were, but he said I probably had no problem seeing and dating someone. It might as well get the kids a new dad. I swore I'd never force my kids to call someone else dad, and he flat out called me a liar to my face. This made me speechless. He loudly told me to get out of the room. I tried to get him to calm down, but he started yelling at me to stop talking to him, after I made it clear he didn't mean that much to me. Then he told me to understand something, which is that he's going to make the kids promise him that if I ever meet someone new, then they should cut me out of their lives and stay with his family. I was in a shock. I called him unreasonable for thinking this was an acceptable thing to do to our kids. He said I should be happy I will no longer be held back by the kids, and that they live with their grandparents and aunts, not some guy gets married to. He kept insulting me till I broke down crying. He asked me to leave the room and threatened to pull his cannula if I stayed. I immediately walked out because I didn't want to get himself hurt over an argument. I understand he was just feeling scared and worried, but I think he was being unfair towards me with how he spoke to me. I felt so bad to the point where I wished I said yes to his promise if I knew he'd react this way. Everyone keeps telling me to have some grace and be patient because Thomas is dealing with so much right now, but they keep forgetting that I'm struggling too. I barely eat and basically have no appetite. I handle everything and have no room to vent, and yet I'm somehow at fault for how he acted? Frankly, I have no idea why I didn't promise him what he wanted and feel like he was being too harsh on me. Even the family say no matter what he does, I should just grin and bear. But I'm not sure if I can take it anymore. This reminds me of another Reddit post where a dying woman had gifted her daughter a journal. And in the journal, she had badmouthed any future woman the dad might marry after her death. The poster kept the journal a secret, but those words poisoned her relationship with both her father and later her father's eventual wife. The father had no idea. It was a tremendously sad story. That little girl never, ever should have been subjected to the depressed, scared thoughts of a dying woman. That's what I thought when you said your kids were present when your husband tried to make your promise in front of them. Poisoning the future, because they'll remember this. You need help. Well, he needs help too, but let's start with you. You need someone to help work through this, because what he's doing is sabotaging your future with your kids, and that is not okay. Remember that you matter too, OP, and what you need matters. Terminally ill people undergo personality changes sometimes. People do and say all kinds of weird things when they're grieving and panicking. I don't expect him to be an angel who tells you to find love and happiness after his death, though some terminally ill people do. However, going so far as to try to make you promise, doing it in front of your kids, and threatening to emotionally blackmail you via your children is off the map. You and your children should be in therapy, as a group and perhaps individually. This is very hard, and you should have disinterested support from someone. OP, you need to do several things. 1. Right away sit your kids down and explain to them that daddy loves them, but is very sick, and that is making him say things he doesn't mean. It's hurtful, but they should be nice to him and not take the things he says too seriously. Above all, they should understand that promises made to someone who isn't in their right mind don't count, because he will try to get them to promise him things. 2. Talk to his doctor and see if there's any medical reason he might be cognitively affected. 3. Keep the kids away from him except when you're there, so that you can head off these kids of toxic conversations. 4. Therapy for everybody. That's very manipulative. And in no way should you even consider what he's saying. He needs straight-up help. His request is one thing. He needs reassurance that he's your one true love or whatever. I guess I get that, but it's a request and not one you should be guilted into obliging. No, the moment he chose to berate you and put your kids against you is absolutely messed up. I honestly wouldn't stand for it if I were you. I don't care how terminal his condition is. That doesn't give him a free pass to be a callous, manipulative a-hole. Update. My twin wants my inheritance. Original post. I, female 17, was adopted at 6 months old by my bi-dad's cousin, my dad. My dad's side of family was always very orthodox, so when he came out, they practically shunned him, but still kept inviting him to the family events, so their image to the neighbors would stay intact. But when my dad got married, their behavior towards my dads got harsher, and only my bi-dad and bi-mom were kinder. After I was born, my bi-parents gave me to my dad as they had demanding jobs and couldn't take care of twins. My twin is the golden child of the family, and they love her to pieces. Me, not so much. My twin is pretty. She has lighter skin, blue eyes while I'm darker. So my dad's family used to bully me when I was little, as I didn't fit in with their aesthetics. So when I was about 9, my dad's moved away across the country and cut all contacts, except for my bi-dad. Now, my other dad received a huge inheritance from his grandparents and wants to give it all to me. I'm thinking to go into medicine, so this money will really help. So here's the issue. My bi-dad is not that well off and can't pay for my twin. So my twin called me a few days ago asking for half the inheritance. Mind you, she called me first time in years after we left. I obviously said no. So she had her grandparents call me and berate me. They told me my dads have money as they are lawyers, so they can afford my college fund even without the inheritance money. When I said no, the whole family, including my bi-dad, called my dads and called them selfish freaks and that they're ungrateful sinners. My dads are very upset. They gave me everything they could, and if I give away half of the money, his family would leave them alone. And now I can't help but feel guilty. Should I just give them the money? I accept that I'm jealous of my twin that she was accepted by them but not me. My dads can afford my college, but I just don't want to give my twin the inheritance. What should I do? Now for the top advice before reading the update. I'm confused on exactly who is who, but that money's meant for you. When money's involved, people always come out of the woodwork and then get mean. Don't give 1 penny away to those greedy people. You have nothing to feel guilty about. It's yours. Don't give in to people that are mean to you and your dads. My one dad got the inheritance, and my other dad's family wants it. No, no, and no. The audacity of these people. Not only it seems you don't have any sort of relationship with your bi family and twin, but they ask you for inheritance and tries to guilt trip you because your dads are lawyers? They can screw right off. The money's all yours. It's your inheritance. The lawyer dads should send out a gift-wrapped cease and desist order to that part of the family for Christmas. That's all they deserve. Do not give them the money. You said it yourself. They've only contacted you after years because they think you now have money. You were given that money for a reason. The person who gave it to you did so for a reason. Honor their wishes. If your other dad wanted your twin to have half the money, he would have given it to her. Ignore any legal threats they might make. They'll have absolutely no leg to stand on. If your dad was the one receiving the inheritance, any issues relating to probates would be between him and the executor. Nothing at all to do with you anyway. As far as I understood, it's the husband of her adoptive dad who got the inheritance. Her other dad, as she so adorably calls him. So the Bai family doesn't have even a sliver of a connection to the inheritance. Like, at all. You take all of the inheritance and give your twin and the rest of the selfish family the finger. Then you ghost them all and continue with your dream of going to med school. And now for the update. So my parents sat me down and asked me what I want to do about this. I told them that I don't feel any likeness towards my twin or that part of the family. I also showed them this post and they were happy to see so much support from strangers. They said they talked to my bi-dad about my twin harassing me. But my bi-dad told me that since I was their child, they have a right to ask this of me. And my twin really needed that. So my dad, Kevin, told them that if my twin get into a college, then it'd help her out if he can. But my bi-dad didn't agree to this and kept asking for the money. My twin cried, said she deserved the money. Then she called me and told me I was a witch. My bi mom also called me and said she was disappointed in me. That's when my dads took the phone from me and blocked them. My dad, Kevin, told me that he'd pay for my college, but won't give me the inheritance. Instead, he would use the money for me. Now I heard from a cousin that my twin is posting on social media that I stole her college fund, so I deleted all my social media. So that's where we are right now. I'm sad to say the least. So my dads are taking me out to dinner, basically treating me like a queen like they always do whenever I'm upset. So I guess that's something. Thanks again, guys, for all your kind words. My bi-dad told me that since I was their child, they have a right to ask this of me, and my twin really needed that. So my dad, Kate, told me if my twin get into a college, then he'd help her out if he can. But my bi-dad didn't agree to this and kept asking for the money. This is just the wildest crap ever. I'm sorry, your bi-dad and sister are insane. Kevin's grandparents isn't even related to them, so they're not entitled. Your dads are too nice. The three of you need to put these entitled a-holes on mute. My dad's blocked them. But my twin was harassing me on social media, so I deleted all. My blood boils when the one harassed is the one that needs to retreat. But it's the right option here. I just don't want to focus on them anymore. I have my own life to live. They can't take that away from me. Don't you love how money brings people you haven't heard from in years to the surface? Your bi-dad said that since you're his kid, he has the right to ask this of you? No, 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 no. He gave you up, so you're not his kid anymore. He didn't raise you. You are your Uncle Dad's kid, also the new dad. Your twin doesn't have anything to do with this, and neither does your bi-dad. If your dad wants to give you 100% of his inheritance, then that's what he should do. Your twin and your bi-dad should have absolutely zero say in any of this. This post makes me mad, and I'm so sorry you're going through this. The whole thing is bizarre, I know. Thank the stars every day for your parents. DNA doesn't make someone family. How they treat you does. It sounds like the only thing your bi family ever did right for you was to allow your uncle and his husband to adopt you. They're the best dads. Next story. Ex-brother-in-law doesn't want me to treat his kids differently. I, 42 female, spoiled my nephew Chris and spent a lot of time with him. Chris is my late sister's son. My sister died when he was 5 after a heart attack, as she had an undetected heart condition. Chris spends a lot of time at our house where my parents/his grandparents, husband, 2 daughters, and 2 sons also live. Chris has his own room in my house and has his own set of keys, so he comes and goes as he pleases. Chris also has great bond with his cousins, who all consider him their brother. And as far as my husband and I go, he's also our son. It is included into everything we do with and for our kids. He goes with us on all our vacations. And this year, my husband and I bought him a car for his 16th, just as we did when our eldest son turned 16. My parents and I also plan on paying his way through college, same as his cousins, since ex-brother-in-law could never afford to. Now, ex-brother-in-law wants me to include his other kids, 2 teenage stepsons and his 2 boys and daughter with his wife, into our time with him. His other kids often get jealous of all the attention and money we spend on Chris. That is why it feels like I'm driving a wedge between the kids, especially as their oldest son Tom also wants a car. But again, ex-brother-in-law and wife can't afford it. Now they want me to make Chris share his car with Tom, but I told him I would not persuade Chris to share. I'm not even going to lie, but I don't like ex-brother-in-law. I certainly don't like his wife. And their kids are obnoxious, mean little turds, but I obviously never treat them in an unkind manner. And I don't allow Chris to speak to them or about them in a disrespectful manner. Even though I know they all constantly exclude Chris, purposely break his things, and make him feel like an outsider. I don't feel like it's my responsibility to consider the other kids ex-brother-in-law has, but at that moment I don't know how to deal with the situation. And any advice to make Chris's life more comfortable, I'd love to hear. Ask your nephew if he wants to live with you full-time. I mean, you're providing for him, basically raising him, etc. He's made to feel like an outsider at his dad's. But you have no obligation to provide for your ex-brother-in-law's kids. This strikes me as something Opie is probably not legally allowed to do. Usually, in order to make this work, Chris's parents would need to sign some paperwork to make Opie Chris's legal guardian. Without that paperwork, Opie can't legally make decisions about seeing the doctor, going to the hospital in case of emergency, schooling, etc. Most parents would be rightfully insulted if you came to them and said, "I should be allowed to take custody of your kid because I don't personally like you or your wife and other children, and I have more money than you." Even crappy and poor parents still love their kids and won't sign over custody of their kids without a fight. Honestly, just stall until he's 18 and can move in with you, or at least move out from that home. If they push the issue, just say, "I'll try." Or if you want to put it plainly, I'm not their aunt. I'm Chris's aunt and I'm paying for these things as a favor to my sister. Chris is responsible and very polite. If I felt the other children were like that for those things, maybe it'd be different. But they have demonstrated that they don't treat things with respect, and spending money on them is a waste. But I wouldn't say that for a while. So stall until your nephew is old enough to not need his parents' permission, and you don't need to deal with his dad's rudeness. The nerve of this guy. This is all you need to say. Brother-in-law can fix his own house. Your only concern is Chris. Your brother-in-law is ridiculous. Chris is your nephew, but the children he had with his new wife and the children she brought to their relationship are in no way related to you and are not your family. He should be grateful that his late wife's family is helping his eldest son so much, but since he isn't, please just ignore him. Next story is titled, "Sister no longer wants a relationship with me, but wants to see my daughter through my partner." So to keep it short and sweet, me and my sister grew up in foster care. But for some weird reason we never ever got on. She admitted recently she didn't like me growing up. Fast forward, I always thought we would grow up, move out, and a relationship would change. I desperately try to have a relationship with her, but she's always extremely patronizing, jealous, and never seems to be happy for me. Also likes to make little digs about how I'm closer to other siblings, etc. My daughter is 4 months old, and her reaction was awful when I told her I was pregnant. Congrats is all I got. And since having Mila, she's met her twice, and she's just dug away at my parenting with silly things like, "She's staying at her granny's already?" I wouldn't have done it that soon. And it just got worse and worse. She doesn't have children, may I add. We ended up having an argument which ended in her telling me she doesn't want me in her life anymore, and that she will go through my partner to see Mila. This feels extremely disrespectful to me. She does not want me around at all when she sees Mila, so it's either I leave the house or my partner meets her somewhere. My partner felt uncomfortable with this and explained to her that it felt wrong, and that if she wanted a relationship with Mila, she would need to get on a mutual level with me, which she's again refused. I'm not sure if I'm wrong for feeling against this. I know it is Mila's auntie, but I am her mother, and to be completely avoided is so hurtful to me. I just don't know what to do. Now for the advice. Your sister, mother, father, friend, etc. is not entitled to see your child. There's not a world where she gets to dictate her relationship with your child. If she doesn't want to see you, she's not entitled to spend time with your child. This is my thoughts exactly. I've heard comments such as, just because you've lost a family member doesn't mean Mila should too. And my mind just can't comprehend something so cruel. But you are the mother, and it is your sister setting the terms. That is wrong. You and your daughter are a package. If she doesn't want to see you, then she doesn't get to play auntie. Thank you muchly for making me feel so much more relaxed about my decision. Strangers really do give the best advice. It's wrong of her to want to see your daughter without you. Your partner is right. Both you and your partner should stand firm. If it's up to me, I'd cut all ties with her. Well, sounds like Mila has one less auntie now. Good thing she's so young, so she won't even miss her. I just don't want to do anything that makes me look like the bad one. I can't force a relationship with someone for the sake of my child. But I also don't want to seem like I'm using Mila as a weapon to hurt her, when in reality it's the other way around, and I feel guilty when I shouldn't. Last story. I, 16 female, cried in front of my best friend's parents, 16 female, because they gave me a plate of food. How can I explain it to them? I'll try to keep it short. My mom is an addict and I don't know who my dad is. I have 3 younger siblings, 3 male to 9 male, that I take fully care of because my mom is incapable of, or straight out doesn't want to. We have food at home at a nice place thanks to my grandparents, but they don't want to take care of us nor raise us because they are tired of cleaning up after my mom. I don't blame them though. We spend some weekends with them and it's fun, but even then I'm in charge of my brothers and I have to bathe them, feed them, and put them to sleep. I'm so love and touch deprived that yesterday when I went to my best friend's house after school, I cried when her mom put a plate of homemade warm food in front of me and said, "Here you go, love." Nobody has ever called me love before, and I can't remember the last time someone cooked something that wasn't from a pre-made package or something like that. It felt so overwhelming. Like for a few seconds I was out of my survival mode and started to cry so awfully. Both of my BFF's parents got confused and scared that they tried to reach out to me, but I fled the place because I thought I was making a fool of myself. My BFF texted me to make sure everything was okay and told me that her parents were worried. I don't know what to tell them. Nobody really knows about my situation and I don't want to be somebody else's burden. I really don't know what to say to them. I'm not starved or something like that, it just felt, I don't know, weird. Please, I need help. Kiddo, you have been dealt a really crappy hand in life. Take help and kindness wherever you can find it. Don't close yourself off from people because you feel embarrassed or guilty. If you trust your best friend, tell her and let her explain the situation to her parents. Hope things get better for you and your siblings. To add on here, there's nothing to be embarrassed about here, Opie. You're a kid. You're not supposed to be taking care of 3 kids, and you're not supposed to be in this situation. All the things you do, those are things your mother is supposed to be doing, or at least making sure is handled. Instead, it's falling on you because your mother has failed you. It's okay to talk to your friends about this. Her parents might have even some ways they can help. and that won't make you a burden. Most people, if they find out their daughter's 16-year-old friend is in this situation, will at least care enough to want to do something to help, even if it's just you can come by more often for dinners. You're not a burden. You're so busy lifting a burden you didn't sign up for, that your mother's supposed to be handling, that you've just got some things to deal with. That doesn't make you bad or a burden. They were happy to do it, believe me. Our daughter has a few friends whose home situations aren't great. Some of them have stayed with us for a while, and all of them know they can count on us for a safe place to stay and a warm meal, and the love and attention of people who consider them family. Your friends' parents sound like they are exactly the same, and I imagine if you ever needed people to talk to or a safe place to stay, they would be there for you. I know sometimes the hardest thing you can do is admit you're hurting, admit you're drowning, but there are people who will always be willing to help, and will do so freely, with no expectations on you except maybe the willingness to also help yourself. They do this out of love and because they know it helps make the world a better place.